send you the thing that said like if you buy one get one free. So I didn't get the one. I did. I did it the page. So if something's wrong, so true.
Also, extra girls are working on
I now call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association Student Senate to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to begin our Student Senate meeting taking place on Thursday, September 14th of 2023 with a land acknowledgement. We recognize the Kansas State University as the first land-grant institution stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is home to 4 federally recognized Native nations, the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was and still is stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at the university while advocating for the support and future success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman will take it away with our first roll call.
All right. Ayers. Bellamy.
Here.
Blood. Broughton.
Here.
Bruckner.
Here.
Cupp.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Compton.
Here.
Questa.
Here.
Dennis.
Here.
Drotz.
Here.
Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
here.
Heatherman. Jacobson.
Here.
Kirchen. Kidd.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Kinsey.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Melcher.
Here.
Moore. O'Malley.
Here.
Oury.
Here.
Pelton.
Here.
Pondillo. Porter.
Here.
Rios. Rivard.
Here.
Rodriguez Melendez.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Syat Carter.
Here.
Syat Nick.
Here.
Salmon.
Here.
Streetman.
Here.
Strunk.
Here.
Sushanik.
Here.
Williams. West.
Here.
Winger.
Here.
And Wolf. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brady. We'll now move into our first open period. For the first open period this evening, we have Corey Williamson. Remember to put your laptops down, everybody.
Good evening. How are we doing this evening? There we go. All right, we're getting there. That's beautiful, beautiful. We don't have to do it twice. But all right, my name is Corey Williamson. I'm the executive director of the K-State Student Union. Today I am here to talk about a pilot initiative that we've been working with our campus store on. But before I go into that, I want to introduce a couple of folks here who were gracious enough to, one, join me from Houston, Texas. So traveled all the way up here for this conversation. So I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. And then also, I'm going to allow John to introduce himself as he is our market leader for Follett. So he's our local representative for the K-State Campus Store.
Thanks, Corey. Hey, everyone. My name's Roger Harvey. I am the Director of Access for Follett, and I live in Houston, Texas, so I flew in to be here for you guys this evening as Corey goes over what the Inclusive Access Pilot is for K-State and how we will assist it. So I'll be here to help answer any questions, so feel free to ask away with that. Can we pass it?
Thank you, Corey. Hey guys, how you doing today? I am the new market leader for the campus bookstore. So we do have a store manager. My job is I run all the K-State stores within our area. and making sure that we support our students and get you guys everything that we need to have and on time. And, I'm from Manhattan, bleed purple as well, like everyone in this room, hopefully. So I've lived here for about 15 years, went to school here as well. So very excited to be a part of this group today. Also, I do know a few faces in here, I think previous employees, I won't mention any names, but very nice, and thank you for having us, and we'll get going back with Corey, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Roger. So I brought the team here just because I think they could also speak directly to some of the questions or thoughts that you may have. I do want to acknowledge that I think I have the 10-minute window, which I'm going to try to do my best. I may not make it this time around either, but we're going to try to work through this as quickly as possible. So with that, a couple things I want to say in reference to the driver of this conversation. The driver of this conversation is, for me, and for anything that I feel like I'm directly involved with is student success, right? So that's really what this comes down to. Is there an opportunity to improve the student experience in any way, particularly when it comes to the union, or if there's any way I can impact on campus? So that's really the driver of this conversation. Also, this conversation goes maybe 2 or 3 years into history, at least as long as Peyton has been on UGB for sure, which Peyton has, I think, been on our board for, 3 years now? Thank you, Peyton, as the president. And I will say it has been a lot of involved dialogue with that group before we move forward with any additional shared governance conversations as well. And so also, and I want to thank, I'm not sure if I see Caleb in the room today, but one of the reference points that really helped us see what the potential value of a program like this would be was at the University of Houston. And so we got a lot of, or at least some of their assessment data. We reviewed some of that. And that was helpful, but Caleb took the initiative to actually reach out to the student body president at the University of Houston to just get some insight around how this similar program might impact our campus, or how it's impacted their campus. And he received very positive responses based off of at least his own personal experience and what he understands from the students around him. So just want to kind of let you know that this has been an ongoing process of benchmarking, getting feedback. I've talked to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln about their version of this program, Wichita State about their version of a program like this, University of Kansas, and all of our peer institutions have some version of this. So really what we're just talking about is a course material distribution method. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. Now, obviously, there's some details that we'll walk through whenever the slide is back up there. But overall, that's the, oh, thank you. Sorry about that. All right, so purpose statement. I think I've really covered this, but student access and affordability, that's really what actually piqued my interest in this program, is that affordability is always a conversation when it comes to textbooks. There is nothing more affordable than the Open Alternative Textbook Initiative, right? That is the starting point. If you're looking for affordability, Open Alternative, OATI, is the primary place, I think, for ultimate affordability. I think this body was very involved in moving that program forward. That said, really, when we start thinking about what's driving this program, is really alignment with the Next Gen strategic plan, right? So, and our KBOR expectations. So, supporting student success and addressing affordability is really where we're trying to accomplish here. We go to the next slide. So an overview, digital course material rental program. So this is not a purchasing, this is a rental program. Course material price is negotiated course by course between the publisher and Follett. Course materials are available electronically on or before the first day of class via Canvas. So students are receiving their courses on the first day. Course materials are available for the semester, 180 days, for at least 180 days. I will say one component that's not on the slide as we move forward, that is also a benefit towards students, is this would be the only course material distribution method that allows our students to utilize their financial aid at the point of selection of that course, right? So it would apply to your bill, your financial aid will cover that, as opposed to having your financial aid distributed and then having to go physically into a store or go online to purchase the materials. So this is not a flat fee program. This is not a university-wide what they call all-inclusive program. This is course by course based on the selection of faculty. Students are not penalized for opting out. If you opt out, you shop the open market, make sure you get the right materials, and then you'll still be able to do the coursework that you are asked to do. Provide individualized student data to Follett. I know that was a question. That is not what takes place. As a matter of fact, the university does not provide individualized data to anyone. So I want to be clear about that based off of my conversations with the Office of Institutional Research Assessment Institutional Research. K-State Inclusive Access will also not go beyond a pilot phase. So once again, pilot is intended to get information. It's an assessment, right, of the effectiveness of a program. It will not go beyond the pilot phase until we've had more conversations with this body and Faculty Senate and other shared governance entities. It probably won't go past that phase without some guidance from Union Governing Board before it even gets here, right? So the option for faculty, we'll go through this really quickly. Faculty are the ones that choose, right? So they can choose to or choose not to. They already have a distribution method that makes sense to them. They use that, right? I would say, and we can move to the next slide, I would say the faculty that are already using digital course materials are probably the faculty that are likely to use a program like this. So if you're in a program that uses mostly physical textbooks, they're probably going to continue to use physical textbooks unless they believe it's best for their students to go a different direction. Faculty will continue to have existing course material options, so they can continue to use the Open Alternative Textbook Initiative. And then inclusive access can be utilized to secure materials from most publishers. So in other words, there's no limitation on the publishers that have the ability to utilize this digital course material method. So as we think about the student side of this, students may opt out, which I know is probably one of the more significant conversations that we need to have here, and I'm happy to have that conversation, right? But opt out of inclusive access to shop the open market. Once inclusive access course is selected, the cost of digital materials will automatically be added to your bill, which I've talked about, and then I've already talked about the benefit of the financial aid piece, so we can move forward there. Timeline. The timeline to opt out would be in alignment with our existing course drop dates. So, you know, we have a 100% drop date, we have a 50% drop date. Even if you drop a course at the 50% drop date, you would still receive the full refund for your course material, right? So that would not be impacted. Students will receive multiple forms of communication, which I'll walk through what I'm anticipating the communication plan would be. I would love feedback on if that communication plan makes sense for you all. How did we get here? It's January 2022. The program, I was aware of the program, but we didn't really seriously start looking at it until January 2022. And some of that had to do with some UGB conversations around what is our challenge with the campus store. I continually heard students don't utilize the campus store because they feel like the course materials are just too expensive. And this was the one thing that I saw that could really drive down those costs. So that's what really started this conversation as we move forward. But when we learned more about it, we said we need to hold off, learn more before we move forward, which then led us to this year, 2023. We had several representatives from the provost office, and we also had our normal 14 plus students that are engaged in the conversation. And so then we decided, let's think about what a pilot could look like. Then from there, in April, we went and talked to some faculty senate committees. I think at that point, after that conversation, my sense is there was a conversation in faculty senate. It was very shortly after, I think, elections took place. So I think those that might have been in that space may not have been aware at that time. I think since then we have addressed that, but just wanted to make sure everyone knew that this was a matter of a larger dialogue that had been going. I think timing in relation to that organic conversation in faculty senate took place, which was perfectly fine. And so now we're making sure that we also kind of continue that dialogue going forward. So how are we going to evaluate the pilot? The pilot program will allow us to analyze the impact of the program overall. We will be working with the Data Assessment Institutional Research Office, right? So they will be helping us drive and guide our assessment within the program. That's fine.
Chair Questa,
I move to extend the speaker's time by 10 minutes. Second.
are there any objections? You have 10 more minutes.
Perfect. Has this been helpful so far? Has this been informative? All right, let's keep it moving here. We can go to the next slide. There we go. So what are we considering when we think about courses? We want to make sure that we have representation across all of our campus locations. So Olathe, Salina, Global, and Manhattan. Let's say I'm missing one, the one I'm standing on. All right, so representation across course levels, right? So we got our entry-level courses all the way up to our upper-level courses, representation across colleges, right? We want to make sure that there's at least some version of the program happening in different colleges. I would say arts and sciences. I'm not sure how many of our courses in arts and sciences might engage. I think some of the harder, kind of like our chemistry, biology potentially would have some interest. But then also our courses that currently use digital material, which I already made reference to, excuse me. So evaluation. So we're going to look at course material savings, right? That's what actually piqued my interest, and I think our students' interest in this program. But then also student success metrics, right? The claim is that the students that have materials on the first day of class are set up for success. They're going to potentially obtain higher grades, potentially be retained longer. We don't have students that are needing to share books amongst each other. They'll need to check out a book to turn it back in. So hopefully this will increase success, but then we're gonna get direct feedback from students based on surveys, and then also feedback from faculty as well. How beneficial did they believe the program was? This is not an individual effort, right? So I wanted to make sure we were clear that this is institutional input is being provided to develop this program. We're still very much so in the development stage of what this means and what this is going to look like. From a student representation perspective, we have our UGB president, which happens to be Peyton, but then we also have the SGA president on this group. We are also finalizing a grad student council representative. We have the SGA president from Salina on this group, and I'm also looking for someone that primarily is a teaching faculty, but the rest of these folks represent different portions of the institution. Timeline. So with the minimum schedule for the pilot itself is just 1 year. So we'll begin spring 2024 in Salina. We're looking for maybe 5 to 10 courses. We're probably going to get a sample size of maybe 100 to 150 students, depending on the number of students that engage. Pilot will expand the global campus in the summer of 2024, and then we'll be in Manhattan and Olathe in the fall of 2024 for the pilot. So as we think about the communication, there is a webpage that I will share in just a moment. Maybe we'll come back to this slide in just a moment. But then also we're exploring how can we communicate your opt-out and overview of the program in cases? How can we communicate through Navigate for those who use Navigate, Canvas as well. But also I think probably what I'm hearing is the most effective place for communication is the course syllabus, right? I think most of our students, all of our students read their course syllabus, right? But then also there will be a email campaign that would go out, right? So it would be at the completion of registration, you would get the information. How do you opt out of the program if you need to opt out, or it'll be an overview of what the program is. But then you got 8 weeks prior to the first day of class, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, first day of class, and then a week prior to each of the drop dates as well. So what's our next step? So we're still working towards a technical integration, right? So we need to make those connections between the Follett's adoptions process and Canvas potentially. Also, we need to finalize the course list. We need to get that finalized by October 15th. We're still in the development of the evaluation tool. So we have kind of a sample of questions we're going to circulate with our task force. And then we're going to develop some strategies to better support our first generation and our underserved populations, right? So we want to make sure that they understand how to use the program, make sure the materials are functional for their use, and then we will work towards whatever those additional needs are. So I believe that is the final slide, with the exception of a question slide. So I will open up the floor, if you don't mind, going back to the slide with the link, and we can go ahead and pop that up while we're taking questions.
Awesome. Are there any questions? Caucus Leader Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you all for joining us tonight. So my first question is just about how the success of this has been measured at other institutions that have a model like this.
Very good. I think I'm going to defer to Roger on this, just because I think you've had a little bit more experience on other campuses.
So this model's been around for about 10 years now. It's just really grown in popularity within the last 5. So with that being said, there was actually not much data behind it, but within the last 5 years, it's actually been peer reviewed and it's been a lot of information has come from Dr. Michael Moore. And so he not only evaluates IA, but other types of programs. But in IA specifically, we were seeing, oh gosh, I wish I had the statistics off the top of my head, but we see from a retention aspect anywhere from about 2 to 5% retention. And then course completion can be double digits, especially when you look at students who are potentially Pell eligible, who are need-based because they don't necessarily have the means, because the price drops down, so it helps eliminate some economic barriers.
Did that answer your question?
It does, yes. Follow-up?
Granted.
Great. Another question. So what is the plan to, or can you talk a little bit more about how to overcome personal faculty interests? So e.g., a faculty member writes a chapter for a book, and so they get a kickback when they tell their students, buy this book for a class. How does that all come into play? Or like, what does that process look like for entertaining selections for this program?
So that comes down to academic freedom with your faculty. So what Follett does is we actually negotiate pricing with the publisher as a whole. So right now, I'm going to just pick on a STEM title. So an engineering book may be about $350, but an English book may be around $80. We worked with these providers to provide all ebooks at their price, at one set price. So no matter, regardless of the discipline. And so when it comes to like royalties to a publisher, that's all contracted with the publisher. We have no part of that because that doesn't play with our model.
Perfect.
Very good.
Senator Griffith.
Hi, I have had multiple professors say basically, hey, don't buy this material for my class from the bookstore. They will rip you off. What's your response to that?
So again, it goes back to the contracted pricing. There's actually a Department of Education guideline that it has to be below marketplace value. Marketplace value is defined as business to consumer. So it does not compare you selling the material to Senator Koch. Sorry, you're just sitting there, so I'm using you as an example. So it doesn't compare that. So it's the lowest price in the market. It does have to be publisher direct pricing. Also in that case, we're transparent. So we share with the publisher what the cost to the student is beforehand. And I believe, like you'll see up here, not trying to steal your thunder, but on the webpage, we will be very transparent with the pricing and then also the ISBNs. So you'll be able to do your own research as well.
And so I will say this in addition to, well, if we go back to that real quick to the pricing, that is really the intention, right? It's 100% transparency. This is what it will cost an individual student to utilize that material through the Inclusive Access Program. And I think one of the pieces of feedback that I've received, which I think is a fair criticism, right? At one point, we were receiving comparison to the new price to the Inclusive Access price, right? That's apples to oranges, right? So you get new price, it's a physical textbook, you get to keep it forever as long as you want, you don't, you can sell it back. But I think that digital price to Inclusive Access price is the actual real comparison. Now, the other critique that I've heard, which I think is also a fair critique, is this is Follett's digital price compared to their Inclusive Access price, right? So then the question is how do I go about doing a fair comparison? And I think that's what Roger was getting at. You can use that ISBN number to go to Amazon, to wherever, and then also we've put the publisher up there, right? So if you wanted to go to the publisher's website and say, what is the cost of this directly from the publisher, because I think that's what's happening in a lot of places. I think in some classes is they've been directed to go straight to publisher. You can see, and I will say I have not seen an example where there is a significant difference. So for example, with this particular material, the publisher's price I think is 26 cents less than the inclusive access price. The key here is that first day of class, you can verify that you have the exact book that you need to have, so on and so forth. So I would just say anyone that is interested in looking at the open market, we would encourage you to do that, because the whole point of this is to make sure that our students are getting course materials at the price level and at the convenience that they believe is necessary for them. Because for some students, it's going to be more important for them to have their financial aid applied to their course materials. That makes up for the 26 cents that you see the difference in the publisher price. So just kind of wanted to throw out there, that's the reason for this, is so it can be as much transparency in this process as possible.
Time for questions expired if anyone wants to read.
Chair Long.
I move to extend time for question by 10 minutes.
Any objections? Time is extended. Chair Long.
Hey, Corey, thank you all for coming. Early in the slides, I thought I read a sentence that professors will negotiate with Follett for the price of the textbook. Did I misread that slide?
Yes, you misread that slide. So,
Excellent.
no, so the negotiation actually happens between the campus store and the publisher. That's where the negotiation happens. So let's say, for example, right now we are receiving multiple requests from our Salina faculty that's saying, okay, what about this material? And so what we're doing right now, once again, at the pilot phase, this is feasible. We send that material to Roger. We say, Roger, what is the price of this material for this course? He has the information around how many students are in the course. He has the information around, what the negotiated price is. He sends it back to us, and then the faculty member then makes the determination on whether they will plan to use that material in that class or not. So the faculty is not negotiating with the publisher. They're just informing us what material they're interested in, and then that communication is happening between Follett and the publisher on what that actual cost is going to be.
Caucus Leader Porter.
So I know you talked about wanting buy-in from SGA, getting feedback from us. What do you want that to come in the form of?
Well, truthfully, I didn't come with an ask. Truthfully, I wanted to make sure this is 100% information sharing. I will say I believe there at some point could be some form of legislation if there was interest in doing that, but that's definitely not my intention today or in general. I believe if this is something that eventually SGA wants to have their voice heard on, I think you all will I'm more than happy to take that voice and whatever the result is of that voice. I think what I'm hoping to do is to bring back information on how successful or unsuccessful this program is, and then we can make a decision as a whole as shared governance, right? Faculty Senate, SGA, the union governing board, and we can make a determination if this makes sense for K-State. So I think if anything, if we are going to voice our perspective or opinion on this, I would love to do that with the information we gather from the pilot. Does that make sense? Okay, very good.
Caucus Leader Kidd.
So I guess I'll lead in. So I noticed on the slide that described the task force for K-State. There are a lot of great individuals there. Some work in the advisory community, some don't. But what is the plan to work with advisors, as advisors are like the front people that interact with students when they have questions, when they don't understand, before the semester starts, when they meet their professors. What's the plan for that?
So we've had some conversation about what's the role of advisors at this phase. At this particular phase, we are still in the development process, and we do have some advisor voices in that conversation. Our hope is to then develop a full program expectation that then we can communicate to advisors. I do anticipate that there will be a training component to this, right? So we will have to train the advisors. We would need to train the faculty that are utilizing the material to make sure that we're all communicating the same information. And I will say that that's a critical piece, right? Because for those who may have been involved in this conversation previously, there is a lot of information out about what access is, what it means, how it's been applied at different institutions. And so we want to be clear that what we're doing on our campus is definitely course by course, faculty make the choice, and then how we then educate advisors on the opt-out process if students are interested in opting out, and then how do they explain what this program is the next step once we've fully developed. And once again, that's why we're starting with a small pilot, right? So we're working through the logistics. How is the billing going to work? How is that communication between Kansas State University and Follett is going to take place? So that's the reason why the pilot is starting with a very small sample size, and then we will scale it up as we feel like we've gotten the logistics taken care of. I anticipate we will work with the advisors that will be advising on the courses that we identify for the pilot at this point, but then later we'll expand that to a broader advisor communication plan. Okay.
Chair Long.
With the reduced cost of the textbooks, is there anything the union stands to gain financially from enrolling in this program to offset that?
That's a really great question. I will say that the financial gain is truly not the motivation here, just to be clear. I will say our standard agreement with Follett has a baseline commission level. That baseline commission level is reduced by 50%, a little bit over 50%, in order to make sure that the materials of these materials are able to be charged at a lower price. So I will say potentially if the program was to grow, and if the faculty, for example, on campus decided that this is a primary means of distribution for those courses that are not a part of the Open Alternative Textbook Initiative, at that point, there could potentially
Time for questions has expired again.
Very good.
Chair Lynn.
To extend questioning by 7 minutes.
Any objections? Time is approved.
Perfect. So I think you got the point, though. Essentially, there's not a initial financial impact. There's potential, but it would have to grow significantly. And truthfully, if I'm looking at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I think they've been doing this for over 5 years, if not longer, and I don't think it's gotten to that point to where it's making a financial impact. So the true driver for this is to improve the student experience and to reduce the cost for our students.
Senator Glasscock.
Yeah, would you be able to run us through kind of the experience the completely new student would have at this campus with this program? What would they need to do? How would they experience it and learn about it? And kind of like, what would their interactions be with this program?
Very good. Truthfully, I would say we're in the development phase of that as we're building. That's the purpose of that Inclusive Access Task Force, is to create that experience. We have identified components such as the communication plan, right? We've talked about, how do we connect with faculty, but that start to finish experience, I can't speak to that directly for our students, but I don't know if Roger can speak to that on a broader level of how students are experiencing this at other campuses.
That's a great aspect, and honestly, everybody who's in it the first time will be a new student in the eyes of this program. So it starts with communication is key. So once registration occurs, students will start receiving emails. We all know you read them, I'm just gonna say it, but it's because that's the official communication that we do all understand. Then it comes through the advisors, it's part of training and having the conversations. And then as you get closer to class start, so about a week before classes start, we then provision within your LMS, which is Canvas, thank you, your Canvas account. So the books will just be in there. So right now you probably have a McGraw-Hill Cengage link. It will be through those links or through a different link, and that's how you'll get your materials. It will also be in the faculty in the syllabus, so for the directions, and then your faculty will be trained on it as well. So it's to make it as seamless as possible and omitting the process of having to go online, click buttons to get access, and entering the 32 alphanumeric access code, getting rid of all that.
And just so I'm clear, I know there's probably an opportunity for more questions, and please feel free to ask them, but I want to make sure before time runs out one more time, I want to be clear that if this program does not demonstrate success, it will not move forward. I mean, I think I can speak to that directly in my role. I know Dr. Lane has been very clear about that if this is not something that benefits students, it doesn't make sense for us to continue to put time and resource into it. I think Peyton would probably also agree. I think we're all on the same page that this is purely about positive impact on students. So if it doesn't prove out through the pilot, then it may be time for us to look for other avenues or ask Follett to get creative and come up with something different that can serve as a positive impact on our students.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for your time. Are there any further first open period speakers? Seeing none, we will move into approval of the minutes. Minutes were distributed last week along with the agenda and legislation tracking. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Senator Bellamy.
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the minutes will stand approved. Moving into announcements. We are still recruiting for the Emerging Leaders Program. Please recommend anyone that you may know through that referral link that is linked in the announcements. Anyone that you know that is a freshman or a sophomore, or anyone just looking to learn more about Student Governing Association, force them to come to the meeting. It was very fun. 2, proxies. If you're going to be absent from Student Senate, please fill out the link, even if you aren't sure if your absence will be excused. 3, if you'll be physically absent from Student Senate but would still like to attend via Zoom, please fill out the Student Senator Zoom request form. Speaker Thomas will review these requests based on the Student Senate attendance policy. 4, want to give props to somebody in the Student Senate? Fill out the Senate shout-out form, and Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman will read them at the end of the meeting. Meetings are more fun when we end them with shout-outs. 5, SG Member of the Week is Jake Bruckner. Jake has been hard at work as a member of the Student Services Fee Committee. During the committee's review this past week, he took great notes and was an active participant. Thank you for contributing to the space, Jake. We have the events calendar on there of when our committees meet, and the quote this week is, "We must use our lives to make the world a better place to live, not just to acquire things. That is what we are put on the earth for." Dolores Huerta. Moving on to commendations. Is there a motion to consider Resolution 23-24-26? Caucus Leader Kermer.
Move to consider Resolution 23-24-26.
Second.
May the author please come forward.
There we go. Resolution 23-24-26, commendation to Dean Michael McClure. Authors Brandon Kermer and Anna Koch. Sponsors, none. Whereas on Monday, April 3rd, 2023, it was announced that Michael McClure was selected to become the next dean of the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, College of APD. Whereas Michael McClure was known as Dean McClure starting on July 1st, 2023, but prefers to be called Michael. Whereas Michael is a visionary leader with a great passion for education in the architectural and design field. Whereas Michael has received numerous professional awards and recognition, including the Gorham P. Stevens Rome Prize for Architecture in 2008. Whereas Michael was raised in Oklahoma, but made the move to Kansas from Louisiana after holding teaching positions at Louisiana State University, Tulane University, and Pratt Institute in New York. Whereas before coming to Kansas State University, KSU, Michael served as intern dean for the College of Arts at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette starting in 2021, whereas Michael will oversee 9 nationally ranked programs with over 800 students and nearly 90 faculty and staff members at KSU, and whereas Michael has already been adding purple attire to his wardrobe and is best friends with Willie the Wildcat as seen in his picture at the Wabash Cannonball in Colorado. Be it resolved that the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU SGA, welcomes Dean Michael McClure to the College of Architecture, Planning and Design and the K-State family. Section 2. Upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the Dean of the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, Michael McClure, Associate Dean of the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, Katie Kingery Page, Communications and Events Coordinator of the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, Thomas Jackson, Architecture Department Head of the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, Matthew Knox, Interior Architecture and Industrial Design Department Head of the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, Nathan Howe. Landscape Architecture and Regional Community Planning Department Head of the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, Dr. Houston Gibson. Provost and Executive Vice President, Dr. Charles Tabor, and University President, Dr. Richard H. Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 232426? Caucus Leader Porter.
I move to approve resolution 26 unanimously.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, it will stand approved. We are now moving to Resolution 232427. Do I have a motion? Chair Cuesta.
I move to consider Resolution 27.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward? This is a quick reminder that in Org Central, there is a form where you can sponsor any piece of legislation. If you see a commendation that you are a fan of, we can get you added as a sponsor before we certify that legislation.
Resolution 232427, commendation to the late Dr. B. Etta Stoney. Authors Ibrahim Chifchi and Peyton Lynn. Sponsors Jessica Binkley, Jacob Brown, Brady Kappelman, Caleb Stout. Whereas Dr. B. Etta B. Stoney served Kansas State University for 24 years. Whereas Dr. Stoney served as a Race Equity Coordinator, Assistant Professor of Secondary Education, Associate Professor of Secondary Education, Faculty Athletics Representative, and Interim Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer. Whereas Dr. Stoney served as a key liaison between multicultural students and athletics. Whereas Dr. Stoney was an important figure in diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging efforts at Kansas State KSU. And whereas Dr. Stoney passed away on Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, and will be greatly missed by the university. Be it resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Governing Association commends the late Dr. B. Etta Stoney for her service at Kansas State University. Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, Raina Johnson, Assistant Vice President of Student Belonging and Inclusion, Mirta Chavez, KSU Director of Athletics, Gene Taylor, College of Education Dean Debbie Mercer, Chief of Staff Marshall Stewart, the family of B. Stoney, and University President Richard H. Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Caucus Leader Porter.
Never mind. I misread where there was a comma.
Are there any further? Senator Glasscock.
Between 10 and 12, are those roles meant to be capitalized, or are they fine as they are?
Chair Blood.
They're fine.
Cool.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion? Caucus Leader Porter.
I move to approve resolution 27 unanimously. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Resolution 27 will stand approved. We have now exhausted the commendations. We will move into approval of appointments. First up, we have Resolution 232428, approval of appointments to the judicial branch. Senator Griffith.
I move to consider Resolution 232428.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. The author is on her way in the door. There's the author. Will the author please come forward?
Absolutely. So sorry, folks. All right. Resolution 23-24-28, authors Hattie Polson and Elizabeth Chapman, sponsors Senate Operations Committee. Whereas it's necessary to approve the members of the Student Review Board and Student Tribunal, whereas these positions were sufficiently advertised, whereas applications were made available to all students who showed interest in the K-State University Student Governing Association, whereas there were 5 applicants for these positions this fall, whereas the following individuals have been selected by the Attorney General to serve on the basis of their leadership ability, experience, and dedication to serving the K-State community, K-State student body throughout the next term, and whereas this appointment is subject to the approval of Student Senate, be it resolved that the following individuals be approved to serve as justices of the Student Review Board for the 2023-2024 Kansas State University Student Governing Association term: Jackson McVeigh, Tay Hernandez, Jessica Davis, Joseph Pondillo. Section 2, the following individual be approved to serve as a justice of Student Tribunal for the 2023-2024 KSU SGA term: Ethan Brown.
Note the correction on line 35, Brady, that it's individual, not individuals. The font on the numbering is also off. Chair Blood.
Change justices to a justice.
Also on line 35. Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion? Senator Glasscock.
I move to approve Resolution 28 unanimously.
True.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, it will stand approved. You guys can come and get sworn in.
Alright, I'm just gonna read the oath of office, so if you all could just put your right hand up and then say I do after I finish, that'd be great. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Student Review Board Justices and Student Tribunal Justice, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association. Incredible. So now you all get to introduce yourselves to Student Senate. So let's do name, pronouns, major, year, favorite smell.
Alrighty, hi guys, I'm Joseph Pondillo. I'm majoring in political science and American ethnic studies. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a 4th year here. I'm from Lawton, Oklahoma. My favorite smell right now is coffee. Am I missing anything? Period 8.
Hi, my name is Tay Hernandez. I am a junior here. I'm a philosophy major. Pronouns are she, her, hers, and my favorite smell is vanilla.
Hello, my name is Jackson McVeigh. I'm a senior studying ag business. I use he, him, his pronouns, and my favorite smell is also vanilla and coconut.
Hi, my name is Jessica Davis. I'm a junior here. My major is medical lab science. My pronouns are she, hers, and my favorite smell is freshly mowed grass.
Hey everyone, my name is Ethan Brown. I'm a senior majoring in marketing. I use the he, him pronouns, and my favorite smell is probably a lecture hall.
Okay, thanks guys.
Okay, seeing as we have exhausted approval of appointments, we will move into committee reports. Are there any committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Seeing none, we will move on to directors' reports. Are there any directors that would like to give a report tonight? Awesome. Well, we will then move into College Caucus time. Pro Tem Kappelman will let you know what we will be doing during College Caucus time.
Yeah, so for all the caucus leaders, you should have received an email earlier today that has a document that you're going to fill out. And just seconds ago, I just put the agenda for today in the group me. If you did not get that message, let me or someone else that is in the group chat know so that we can get you in that when we do updates. So go to your normal spots. We'll have like 15 minutes. There is things for you guys to do. So caucus leaders, make sure you fill out whatever you guys get accomplished so that we can track our progress throughout the year. So we'll see you guys back at 8:05.
Okay, you guys have 15 minutes. Back at 8:05.
All is engineering for the ships.
Right here, as
So, welcome everyone. My first thing I want to do really fast is make sure we're all in our
And so there are times eyeliner
Is there a reason you don't?
So I don't I'm emailing you to ask me with you about this completely other thing. So I think one of you guys should send me an initial
Okay, so our goal for today is to talk about, so we have at least three. So one you stuff the last couple of years. I normally take some time to go to at least one GSE meeting so I can make it quick to another.
Yeah, the long blonde hairs are definitely his. These young pictures of Debbie are so. Wait, no, that's kind of.
So that's a really good goal that we all have, right? I'd say another goal that we can talk as a group. So what we did. And it was really just a way that was just centers, you know, like forever, just like us, and they wouldn't be able to host.
Wait, did I just not see that?
Maybe you're in charge of that.
My ear's dead. And my phone is on, like, break it down. Like, dizzy. I got my battery. Whoa. Yeah, email turns into
Yeah, that would send me.
Right. Even though she is.
It's too late now. Yeah.
I mean, she'll still be in our caucus.
I think that's great. I think, and that came up. That came up like 4 or 5 weeks ago, where someone made a comment, and what gets brought up is, like, I know that some of, I know that schools are paying attention to like
I think once.
so if they're already writing about what progressive is in their college, then it's like, well, shoot, you know. What could be a good
Features, I guess.
conflict, like address,
Free, I think, one thing.
you know?
That's what I thought, like, she was
And so I mean, I know that debates about the legislation. I mean, like by the time you get it, it's usually week, and I guess the next week isn't bad either. I guess I don't know if this is how it's like, we all like teachers, or is it like, what is that? What could that look? Because none of us are on committee.
So I would say like.
Now I have to see, I'm gonna go see if I can recognize them. Sure.
I could do like
Instagram. I mean, we need to know.
That's really cool. That's what I would like without so then it's not all about it.
Because I feel like I would rather be
Don't know him.
with
That is.
we're starting to like.
So I think something that is key is grad schools. I don't think it's like I never. Me just not thinking about it. Right, like it's not in their world. Like why would I go to? So maybe that could be something. Maybe bigger schools like
I don't know why he's. She's gonna reach out to you. Master's degree in
We're bullying, but we're so much too big. You're a life thing right now. You're like annoying me. Yeah. We have this. We're emailing her tomorrow.
Okay.
And in which case, I would not have all of these students.
they gotta clean it out.
I don't know who she is. Team Debbie. She's a preschool teacher.
So I'm gonna come in a couple of
Well, I'm actually pretty sure she went to school for education. Oh, I think she was really young, and then she went back to get her master's of education.
What seems to be the biggest like wrench.
I like them as people.
Or they're like grading papers, or you know, do something that you actually.
I like change a lot. Like we get courses as well. Yeah. And like I always had a lot of fun shooting with them.
There's a year
when I was still like active as a
And of course, no one. I mean, I shouldn't say that.
and then I did so.
Nobody got hurt. It was really just kind of. And then I like yeah. The first time.
Versus like KFC, you just go like one month. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like she's condescending me the entire time. Like, we're actually elementary schoolers, yeah. When I had Kaylee for my class, like you didn't do that.
I did it for years. And that might be.
Okay, yeah. And then my wife is from kind of the south side, where Kristen's ski resort is right there. If you're a skier. And then
See, wait, no. I took exercise.
Different having a goal before I officially so everyone, pretty much business school,
Well, that's what we can go, but
I was trying to email out next week. I'll see you all.
what is that? Right? If you're like,
Oh, yeah, the like multi-university, yeah,
Well, I mean.
How's it going?
I have my goals locked in. We have my team is going to be me. So our goals are to recruit more students later. Well, I guess I haven't really talked to you, Kate, about it, but I mean, finish your goal here. Part of the big thing is
And
the weekly meeting at
yes. Except I've never, like, I know so many people in that class. I do not speak to anyone. There's so many people in there. And I walk in and I sit in the corner by myself.
So like we have our and
then I don't talk to anybody the entire time. Because all of them have their classes together. Everyone else is doing their blog. They have all their classes together. They all know each other. So then they all like just go from class to class together. My princess, yeah. I was not even in the tournament. I'm not. That is the mind of a teacher right there. He can problem solve.
Okay, and we are back, everybody. We are moving into final action on Bill 2405. Will the author please come forward? Have any changes been made?
No change have been made.
You have first rights to debate.
Yeah, so this bill is largely clerical in nature. We're just changing the wording DSOs and ISOs to sponsored and affiliated, so just fixing some clerical things.
Awesome. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there any debate in the negative? Is there any further debate in the positive? And is there any debate at all? Seeing none, we will move into a roll call vote.
All right. Atchison, Ayers, Bellamy, Biggs,
Yes, by proxy.
Blood,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
Cup,
Yes.
Bruckner,
Yes.
Koch, Compton,
Yes.
Cuesta,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Drotz,
Yes.
Dunce,
Yes by proxy.
Fogel,
Yes by proxy.
Glasscock,
Yes.
Griffith,
Aye.
Haynes,
Yes by proxy.
Hartzell,
Yes, by proxy.
Heatherman, Hoffmans,
Yes, by proxy.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Kermer,
Yes.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes,
Yes.
by proxy.
Melcher, Moore. 2 yeses for Lynn. Moore, O'Malley,
Yes.
Oury,
Yes.
Pelton,
Yes.
Peterson, Rios, Rivard,
Yes.
Rodriguez Melendez,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Syed Carly,
Yes.
Syed Nick, Salmon,
Here. Oh, yes.
Streetman, Strunk, Sushanik,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Winger,
Here. Yeah, yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
and Zatko.
Yes. By proxy.
Just a quick reminder that the answer is yes, no, abstain, or pass.
Yeah, Bill 5 passes on a vote of 41 to 0 to 0.
Okay, we will move into final action on Bill 232406. Will the author please come forward? Have any changes been made?
Yes. They're not in the. I thought it did. But you know how that goes.
I will be emailing out an amended version.
Yes.
You all should have received the bill as amended.
Okay, so the committee added 4 whereas clauses. Those are, whereas in years past, we've had to pull money from reserves to accommodate this funding limitation, whereas we should work to alleviate those burdens, whereas the committee is committed to funding both on-campus and travel events fairly, and whereas allowing the committee to use their discretion is imperative. Okay, so yeah, I think this legislation is super important because just being on the committee last year and having first-hand experience with this limitation, it can really hamstring the committee. Just to give last year as an example, we had about $10,000 left in our account to allocate to campus organizations, and we got in travel requests that we're not allowed to fund because it would have put us over this limitation. And at the end of that particular year, we were not receiving on-campus event requests. So we had $10,000 to spend, but nobody to spend it on. So the committee last year had to take $10,000 from reserves and add it to this account so we could have $20,000 to allocate to travel. So this is something that is burdensome and that we should get rid of so that we can make the committee's job a lot easier. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there debate in the negative?
Can I friendly amend we to KSUSGA? Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which line?
15 and 18.
15 and 18. Is there debate in the negative? Senator Bellamy.
Hey guys, I am not a fan of this bill. I think that on-campus events are super necessary. It's a really easy impulse to just give a lot of money to travel because those are the things that apply the most. But travel allocations just support like these super involved, like 1% of students. On-campus events like help all students. I think that there should at least be some prerogative to fund on-campus events because I think that we won't get cool on-campus events and we'll just do travel, give all of our money to travel. Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing as that was debate in the negative, is there further debate in the positive? Chair Long.
Perfect. Hello all. Mainly addressing the insinuation that removing this split will somehow eliminate on-campus events and activities. So for background, those that don't know, I was the TAC chair back 2 years ago, and then the SAC chair, this committee's chair, last year. So the discussion, yeah, we love our acronyms. The discussion of the $10,000 in the split, that was what happened to us. We had to play around this rule because it is, in its effect, arbitrary, so we could actually fund organizations, not turn them away for no reason. For history some more, the reason this is the way it is because previously, this pool of money used to be allocated by two separate committees, OCAC and TAC, Travel and On-Campus Allocations. Those committees are now all combined into one. The reason that rule was there is to prevent the chair of the on-campus committee spending all the money on something without the travel chair knowing about it, or vice versa, and then one committee not having any more money. That is no longer a risk we possibly can have since it's all under one committee. There's also the discussion of on-campus events helping all students versus travel ones helping minimal amounts. Not minimal amounts, less than all students. Looking through the numbers of what we've allocated to, from my last term as SAC, on-campus events, the stated number of students that would have helped were somewhere around the 200s. The travel we allocated to, the stated number of around helped is around the 300s. Some of those on-campus events allegedly I say, were a benefit to all students, and I'm sure they were. However, there is no great disparity in the amount of benefit these have to organizations because, truth be told, the majority of on-campus events funded by SAC do not and are not advertised to every single student. They are meant for the clubs that are hosting somebody doing something like that. I also would like to point out the importance of both of these events, not just on-campus or travel. They are of equal importance. Being able to go to a conference for your professional development or go to a competition, not a competition, go to an event is incredibly important for your career development and meeting and networking as much as bringing a speaker to campus is. This 60-40 split is a relic of a bygone era, there's the line, and we should get rid of it.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there further debate in the negative? Is there further debate in the positive? Is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, Pro Tem Kappelman will move into a roll call vote.
All right. Atchison.
Yes by proxy.
Ayers. Bellamy.
No.
Biggs.
Yes by proxy.
Blood.
Pass.
Broughton.
Yes.
Cup.
Yes.
Bruckner.
Yes.
Koch.
Yes.
Compton.
Yes.
Cuesta.
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Drotz.
Yes.
Dunce. Fogel.
Yes by proxy.
Glasscock.
Yes.
Griffith.
Pass.
Haynes.
Yes by proxy.
Hartzell.
Yes by proxy.
Heatherman. Hoffmans.
Pass.
Jacobson.
Yes.
Kidd.
Yes.
Kermer.
Yes.
Kinsey.
Pass.
Long.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Melcher.
Yes.
Moore.
He says yes.
O'Malley.
Yes.
Oury.
Yes.
Pelton.
Yes.
Peterson. Porter.
Yes.
Rios. Rivard.
Yes.
Rodriguez Melendez.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Syed Carly.
Yes.
Syed Nick.
Yes.
Salmon,
Yes.
Streetman,
Yes.
Strunk,
Yes.
Sushanic,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Winger,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Zatko.
Yes, by proxy.
All right, moving back to passes. Blood,
No.
Dunce, Griffith,
No.
Heatherman, Hoffmans,
Yes, by proxy.
Kinsey,
No.
Peterson, Rios. All right. Bill 232406 will pass on a vote of 39 to 4 to 0.
Awesome. Seeing as we have exhausted final action, we will move into introduction of allocations. We have Bill 232408, which is a student allocation to the Agricultural Education Club. They are requesting $800 and recommended $800. Bill 09 is for the International Coordinating Council, requesting $100, recommended $100. Bill 10 is to the Men's Soccer Club, requesting $1,000, recommended $350. Bill 11 is to Omega Delta Phi Fraternity. They are requesting $1,000. The recommendation is $800. Bill 12 is the allocation to the Rodeo Club. They are requesting $1,667.15. They are recommended $1,665. Bill 13 is to the Society of Women Engineers. They've requested $1,000 and are being recommended $1,000. Chair Cuesta.
I move to consider the allocations.
Seconded.
We already did that. That's what I just did.
You've already
Senator Bellamy?
I move to approve the allocations
No, we don't have any allocations up for approval this week.
Then what do we say?
They're being
We're
introduced.
done. We're done.
That is.
They
Chair
were just
Blood?
an introduction to clarify.
Chair
I have
Blood.
a question.
Yes.
On, I think it's Bill 10 for
To men's soccer?
Why the only 35% recommendation of the request?
Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent question. The answer to the question is that the committee decided for this particular event, the only thing that they requested was gas, and the amount of cars that they were taking and the distance they were traveling came out to be around $350 and not $1,000. If that answers your question. Good.
Awesome. Are there any further questions on the allocations? Senator Bellamy.
Why was Rodeo Club given $1,665 instead of the full amount?
Excellent question. The reason for that is just for the sake of accounting, because doing it to nickels and cents, most organizations don't do that, and so we will just have pennies left at the end of the term, which is not helpful.
Chair Long.
I will add, there's a tangible cost to university staff to have to deal with SIMs. Don't mess with it.
Senator Griffith.
On Bill 11, how come the Omega Delta Phi fraternity was only given $800?
Excellent question. And the reason for that is because the committee decided, and statutorily speaking as well, to not fund food and the $200. They requested $800 for lodging and travel and $200 for food, so we subtracted food, and that's the allocation. Excellent.
Are there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move into, is there a motion to introduce the allocations? Chair Cuesta.
If He's already moved and seconded.
You did.
Technically,
Thirded.
technically, we didn't.
I move to consider the allocation.
Second.
Very cool. We will now move into introduction of legislation. Is there a motion to consider Bill 2324-14? Caucus Leader Porter.
Consider Bill 14.
Second.
Will the author please come forward? And there she is.
Okay. So this is Bill 2324-14, amendments to the KSU-SGA statutes regarding DPF application deadlines. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association should continue to strive for consistency within its governing documents, whereas the Diversity Programming Fund guidelines stipulate that student organizations must submit funding requests 50 days prior to the date of their event. Whereas this guideline was originally written assuming the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging Committee would only complete funding reviews on 1 week each month. Whereas the DEIB committee currently allows funding reviews each week rather than only once a month. Whereas the Student Allocations Committee, which has a similar funding structure to DEIB, only requires funding requests 35 days prior to the date of an event, and whereas the DPF guidelines should be changed to reflect a 35-day deadline for funding applications. Be it enacted that Section 24.1 of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association statutes should be amended to read as follows. And then in line 39, must be submitted no later to 50 days is just changed to 35 days prior to the date of the project. Section 2, this legislation shall take effect upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Caucus Leader Kidd.
For line 19, can we change, can you scroll up, please, Chris? Line 19, can you change once a month to once per month? Perfect, thank you.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Senator Griffith.
Do you have any idea why the deadline was, is the only reason it was set at 50 days was because you only had it at a once per month, or are there any?
Yes.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, you may take your seat. We have now exhausted introduction of legislation. We will move into second open period. Emerging Leaders Coordinator Navarro.
Howdy, y'all. We just had our second meeting today, Emerging Leaders Coordinator meeting or whatever. We had 13 people show up, which was great. Thank you. It's all you guys. It's all you guys. So it was a pretty cool session. We did the legislative, but pretty much what I'm here to do, I'm not here to pat my own back or pat his back, but I am here to talk to you guys more about getting more people into the program, obviously. We have a lot of people, but guess what? None of these people are in fraternities or sororities. Not a one. Isn't that crazy? That's the damnedest thing. So I'm hoping that we can at least get 1 or 2 people, if possible. Let me know, give me referrals and all that. Also, if your fraternity or sorority would be willing to hear from me, which I bet they won't, but if they are, then I would be willing to speak to them. So let me know what y'all think. Thank you so much for your time. We're gonna eat up the Tigers this year, or this week, so go Cats.
Yes, Caucus Leader Kidd. Oh, he has a question.
Can you speak a little bit more to the body on what the distribution of colleges that have been, of students that have been attending, like per college?
Yeah.
Education or business?
For sure. I remember asking them about their colleges there first, but from what I remember, obviously, like, we get a lot of political science people. We have some people from secondary education people, had some engineers. I'm pretty sure there was someone with like a really fancy like biomedical or like biology. But I think other than that, I do not recall. But yeah, I mean, basically from those colleges, we haven't really had too much of a distribution. I mean, I don't think I heard one from Ag either, so there's that. Any other questions?
Senator Griffith. Oh, I'm going to grant a follow-up first.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. And then as for more of like outreach, have you interacted with IT or the folks that control the global announcements on Canvas to see if there could be like a banner added when students log on for a few weeks about the Emerging Leadership Program?
I have not, but I will. That's a good idea. We're also thinking about putting up some in the engineering hall, which could be cool because I don't think we have a lot of engineers.
It looks like Senator Dennis knows how to do that, so
Yep. I'll
talk to her after.
I got you.
Senator Griffith.
I know that the College of Health and Human Sciences has a lot of vacancies right now, so have you been doing any like active attempt to recruit in that college?
Have we ever? We've been really trying. So we spoke with Associate Dean Shauna Jordan, Dr. Shauna Jordan. We spoke to her about it. We had a lot of different. I mean, you can come up to me after because I bet no one really cares too much about the nitty-gritty details. But it seems like the outreach that we have to do is something that's going to be very tough for Health and Human Sciences. And as John and RJ probably already know, it's hard to get people from Health and Human Sciences into SGA in general. But we will try our hardest, and we will continue trying. So, yep.
Chair Sushanik.
Do you have a plan for filling the vet med vacancy? Yeah.
That's actually a fantastic question. We have talked, and Jacob would actually speak better on this, but I can summarize it. We've been talking to VetMed a lot, actually, and their position is that
They're busy.
is that they're too busy to be handling these things, and that they will not give us a meeting. But we will persist, and we will keep fighting for SGA because we.
So talk to me after.
Have you considered just showing up?
No, so we had considered that.
They meet once a month.
They meet once a month, and we unfortunately missed this month's meeting. So we have to wait till next month.
Just to clarify, this hasn't happened before for second open period. Time has expired. It's runs for 3 minutes.
Caucus Leader Porter.
I mean, set a time for questions by 7 minutes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, Chair Broughton, was that an objection? The objection was withdrawn.
Yes, Evan.
Caucus Leader Porter.
Have you considered like postering in residence halls or the union?
Yes, so we actually already have. I don't know if we've done every single residence hall. We've definitely done Marlott.
All halls.
All halls, call hall, all of them. We've done it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Senator Griffith.
I know that Jacob is already an RA, but have you thought about like actively getting a meeting with some other RAs to see if anyone that they know on their floors who would be willing to do it?
No, we actually hadn't thought about that, and Jacob is acting like that's a bad idea.
I don't like it. There's too many RAs, and it's very hard to coordinate all of that. So it could be addressed internally if we talk to like housing and dining, and maybe it could be something in like training. But
Housing and dining is in the back of the room, right there.
You've been at the dining center's tabling.
No, actually, so something that we were trying to explore was that even like putting posters up in the dining hall. I don't know what we can do about that, but I'll talk to you about that because that's a good idea. And tabling, we kind of found that tabling's pretty much ineffective when it's at the union, but at the dining hall, we have not thought about that as well.
Chair Sushanik.
Could we possibly get an SGA thing with the QR code on that giant screen in Kramer when you walk in?
I'll defer.
Possible.
It's possible. We can do it.
Are there any further questions? Oh, Caucus Leader Porter.
Thinking about screens, what about the screens in the union?
Wow. Yeah, I love this, guys. This is great. Screens at the union.
Yeah, I can help you. So we just go to the CSI and fill out a content submission form and we'll help you.
Gotcha. I think it's a similar thing for the engineering hall as well. So it's pretty simple. Yeah. Okay. I'll come at you with both those two things that I totally remember the first one.
First one's banner ad on Canvas.
That one.
These are great suggestions, guys. If you have further suggestions about places where they could advertise, please feel free to reach out to our wonderful Emerging Leaders coordinators.
Do you guys have any questions about the program?
Are there any questions otherwise?
That's so cool.
Seeing none, thank you.
Go Cats.
Are there any further second open period speakers? Chair Lynn.
I meant to say this during committee reports, but if any of you are in other organizations or clubs or whatever that might be looking to seek funding throughout the year, Carson and I are going to be hosting a funding workshop this Sunday, the 17th at 3 p.m. If you're part of a club that might want to send some kind of representative to that meeting to learn more about how to get funding through any of our stuff.
Caucus Leader Solomon.
Where?
Big 12 room.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions for the speaker? Seeing none, thank you. Are there any further second open period speakers? Seeing none, Pro Tempore Councilwoman will take it away with the Senate shoutouts.
Shout out to Corey for having his time extended the most in SGA history. Add a partridge in a pear tree. Shout out to Dean Michael McClure. Shout out to the lecture hall smell, one of the smells of all time. To the glass ships on the second floor of the Union, because they are awesome. Shout out to yes, no, abstain, or pass. Shout out to Arts and Sciences tailgates. Shout out to Arts and Sciences ragers at the bowling alley. Shout out to completing requirements before October 7th. Judicial was here. Good job, guys. Cats eat tigers. Shout out to Carson's excellent answers. Shout out to Brady's very attractive vest. Thanks, guys. Shout out to Brooke for doing finger guns. Shout out to all halls, all halls, all halls. Shout out to ginormous screens. And shout out to being cut off in open period. And that's all we got.
Okay, we will go ahead and take it away with second roll call. Oh, Senator Griffin. We will go ahead and do second roll call.
Bellamy.
Here.
Biggs. Blood.
Here.
Broughton.
Here.
Bruckner.
Here.
Cup.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Compton.
Here.
Cuesta.
Here.
Dennis.
Here.
Drotz.
Here.
Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Sorry, here.
Heatherman. Jacobson.
Here.
Kirchen. Kidd.
Here.
Kermer.
Here.
Kinsey.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Melcher.
Here.
Moore. O'Malley.
Here.
Oury.
Here.
Pelton.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Rios. Rivard.
Here.
Rodriguez Melendez.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Syed Carly.
Here.
Syed Nick.
Here.
Salmon. Streetman.
Here.
Strunk.
Yes.
Sushanik.
Here.
West.
Here.
Winger.
Yes.
And Wolf.
Here.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to reference right now. Yeah.
Is board game club happening this week?
It's a good day.
I'm ignoring you. For reference of legislation, bills 8 through 13 will be referred to the Allocations Committee, and Bill 14 will be referred to the DEIB Committee. Is there a motion? Senator Griffith.
I move to adjourn this meeting until Thursday, the 21st, same time, same place. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Have a good night, everybody. Oh, hey, everybody. We do have these very cool SGA pins for $3. If you would like one, you can come up and get one for $3.